Good evening, everyone. I'm welcoming Gérard Bertrand this evening, who really doesn't need much introduction, I don't think, but we're delighted to welcome him. He's just been awarded Drinks Business Green Personality of the Year. He also, as many of you know, owns 16 wonderful estates in some of the most beautiful parts of the Languedoc. And he's also an ex-international rugby player. So congratulations for the weekend, Gérard, the result of the rugby. You were just saying that it was in 1989 that you played against the Irish. Is that right, as a rugby player?
Yes, you know, I play against an Irish team with the French Barbarians, and I play with a very legendary Tony Ward. And he was, you know, we really enjoyed to play with them, and more importantly, to share a lot of pint of beer after the game.
Oh, well, that's no doubt we're going to end up talking about rugby a bit later on. But anyway, congratulations for the results of the weekend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a real family passion. Your grandmother, and then your father, and then yourself taking over the family estates. And now Emma, your daughter, has joined you and is working with you. You know, you were actually training quite hard as a rugby player when you decided to leave and go into the family business. Is that right?
You know, when I always work in the wine industry because I start to make wine with my father when I was 10 years old. And, you know, and I never stop because when I play rugby at the top level, rugby was amateur, was not professional. That means we play rugby on the weekend, but we work hard during the week. And I have managed both my rugby career and my job of winemaker and wine grower for 10 years. And when my father passed away in 87, I was only 22. And my first priority, of course, was to play rugby at this time, but I had to manage a family estate. And I had only 60 hectares at this time and 3 people to manage, but I had to manage that and my rugby career. That's why it was a little bit complicated. And I lived like a monk for almost 8 years because you know, the week I work and the weekend I tried to play at the top level, and it was a challenge for me.
Okay, I can imagine. And you basically, that was very young when your father passed away. Sorry to hear that. So a huge amount of pressure, really, for you to do the two things.
Yeah, and also, you know, the good thing is my father taught me when I was very young, and you know, and with my sister, we spent times during the holiday season for 2 months to work in the vineyard, but from Monday morning to Saturday, you know, not 6 days a week, and you know, it was during the summertime, and from 5 o'clock in the morning to 1 p.m. That's why, you know, it was a school of life, really. And my father was a pioneer, Gérard Bertrand, and he was the first to believe about the potential of the region. But, you know, he had a vision, but he was more or less 20 years in advance. That means, you know, people were not ready at this time to drink premium wine from the region. And because you remember in the 70s, the region, you know, was more a region for you know, everyday wines. And my father shared with me the potential of the terroir, and we start to sell, you know, very good quality of a Corbières, and we start to be recognized with Domaine de Villemajou, and it was the beginning of the story. And then, of course, myself, during 10 years, I focused on that. And when I stopped to play rugby in 1995, it was the beginning of the second life. And of course, I have decided to invest a lot of money, and I go to the bank in order to ask them to borrow me the money to start to create a company, and then to buy a new estate, and then another one. And it was a long journey of 35 years to move from 3 people to 400 people now, and to sell wine in and the brand Gérard Bertrand and the estate in 175 countries. And I am also very happy because yourself with Kevin, you were a supporter of us over the last 15 years, maybe 20, to promote our wines on the Languedoc region.
Thank you. I mean, we have been working with you for a long time, and it's an incredible success story. as you say, not just in terms of employing that number of people, but also you've raised the profile of the Languedoc, you've raised the profile of the south of France, because you're hugely passionate, not just about the wines, but the food, the lifestyle, art, music, and so on. And that's been a big part of what you do.
Yeah, yeah, sorry, but just to say some more about the beginning of the journey with my grandmother, Paul, because, we pay a tribute to her now. We just launched a Cuvée 100 because she planted the first plot of vines, of vineyard in 1920.
Okay.
And, and with the vintage 2019, we celebrate 100 years of a Carignan planted in the Corbières area with a Cuvée L'Arcousier, Cuvée 100. And my father, my grandmother, she was born the 1st January 1900. That means she had a tough life, because after the two wars, the first and the second, and she had 9 kids, and my father was the last one. And all the family spent time in the vineyard in Corbières. This is really the heart of the family, and this is a traditional place. And of course, my daughter Emma, now she follows the path, and she is very happy to continue this family spirit.
Okay. And you, the Domaine Villemajeu, that's where you live, isn't it? That's your home?
No, my daughter lives there, Emma.
Okay, and you're in Siglis.
Myself, I live at Sigalus Estate.
Siglis, yes, okay. Which is lovely that, you're living on the properties, you're there day and daily, and you see them. And so,
we are happy because the south of France, as you know very well, is a great destination. And of course, we like to host people, especially in our wine resort at Château L'Hospitalet, because we brand new everything. Now we have a 5-star wine resort, and we also tonight to make master classes to develop food and wine pairing. And this is a great destination. And if you don't know what to do, guys, during the spring or the summer, please come to see us, because we have many things to share with you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. I mean, you're there from Château Hospitalet this evening. It's a beautiful, beautiful property, and I know that you've now turned it into a kind of wellness center, as well as the winery, as well as the vineyards, as well as the restaurant, and as well as the beautiful bedrooms. And the thing is that I love about Château Hospitalet, it's in a fantastic location, but it's actually so close to the beach in Narbonne as well.
We have a beach club now. We opened a beach club last year. That means
in the Red Sail restaurant sort of place, right at the bottom of the hill. Okay, it's an amazing place. Yeah.
Thank you.
So if anyone's looking for a lovely trip, I'm sounding like the tourist board now for the Languedoc, but flights to Carcassonne, it's an hour to the winery, and it's a beautiful place to visit, and there's always a lovely welcome waiting there for you. So definitely worth visiting. Gérard, while we taste the rosé, I was so excited to chat to you that I forgot to read the house rules. They've now gone up in the group chat, but I might just mention them so that people know what we're doing. Basically, the best way to see myself and Gérard is to use the speaker view. Everyone will be muted throughout the tasting, just so that people's connections are okay, but you can ask questions in the chat function. And there's a Q&A at the end for additional questions. The tasting is being recorded, but only myself and Gérard are being recorded, so you're very welcome to leave your video recorders on if you want to. Please remember to eat and drink throughout the tasting. We'll take a break after the second wine for 2 minutes, just to let you top up on water and any additional food that you need to get, so that you can enjoy the wines with food. And then tomorrow we'll send a link to the tasting out. So if you've got someone missing it this evening, or you want to watch it again, then we'll be sending that link out tomorrow. And we are also looking for 2 questions. We're looking for the best questions during the first 2 wines for Gérard. And we have a prize of a bottle of the Côte de Roses and a bottle of the Orange Gold to send out to the best questions during the first 2 wines. So it's good to get your thinking caps on, and please send in any questions that you have. So Gerard, I know that you famously say that your father told you that you really, if you started your first vintage, at what age were you when you did your first vintage?
You know, my first vintage was in 1975 already.
Okay, so
I was 10 years old,
oh,
but my official first one
okay,
was 1988, because
okay,
my father passed away after the harvest 87.
okay,
And, you know, but I was ready because he taught me for 12 years. And I have
okay,
already 12 years of experience at the Domaine de Villemajou. And, you know, and I follow his vision and his path. And, but he was a stress for me, because my father was a legend in the region, because he was one of the first to believe about the potential, as well as to teach people and to educate people with winemaking process, with wine aging. He was the first to use French oak, you know, and to change the way to pick up the grape as well, and really to promote the sense of place, because he had a passion for the terroir.
okay. As you,
Yes, yeah, you know, it's really amusing, because people say sometimes, oh, Gérard Bertrand doesn't go anymore in the vineyard because he has too many estates. But I say, yes, I don't go one time, I go 3 times in each plot. Because during the harvest time for 2 months, of course, I don't travel. And with my team, we make more or less 15 miles per day, running and walking in the vineyard for tasting the grapes. And we eat 2 to 3 kilos of grapes, 6 pounds of grapes, in order to decide the date of harvesting.
and you're looking for ripeness in the pips, in the stalks, in the skin, and obviously the sugar and the grape juice as well. So you're looking at various parameters, yes?
Yeah, you know, the good thing with the wine industry is that every vintage is a new journey, is really different. That means you cannot stay in your cellar to control the level of acidity and the pH and so on. You have to feel, and you have to be connected with the soil, with the subsoil, with the vineyard, with the quality of the berries, with the weight also of the berries, in order to see really what will be the potential of the vintage. Because sometimes, you know, you say, okay, I can wait a week, I can wait 2 weeks, but sometimes you can say, oh, this year the Syrah, for example, is fragile, and if we don't make the harvest in the next 2 to 3 days, we will have many problems. I mean, it's always a battle between what's happened and what do you see in the vineyard and the forecast of the weather condition. You know, and you plan with this. We have 250 people, because we pick up the grape by hand only. I mean, it's like an army, you know, and
a military operation.
Yes, it's it's complex, but it's also amusing to, okay, let's go for this vintage, this estate first, and then we follow over there. This is exciting.
I've been there during harvest, and I know that in the morning the teams are waiting to see where Gerard has decided what vineyard is going to be picked that day.
Yeah, it was a case in the past. Now the things change a little bit.
Okay.
What's happened is that my team, they make the planning, they plan the harvest, and myself, sometime in the morning, I change the plan. That's it.
That's what happens.
But they have a plan, because we have one director by state, and you know, and because we travel, we manage different places. Sometimes we do some changes.
Okay.
And we do some. That means, you know, when we do the plan, we have before and below and after 7 days. That means when we are less than 7 days, 95% of the time we don't change the plan. When we are later, we have the capability to change, because the weather condition can change and we have to be flexible. But this is really a game, and the game is for 2 months because we start late August and we finish between mid to late of October. I mean, it's really a long and a battle, 8 weeks and 8 weekends, you know, and you know, when we stop, we are exhausted, but we are very happy because this is like a painter with a color and with the pencil, you know, you can make a masterpiece or you can have a problem. But this is a question of 1001 detail. And this is what my father teach me. My father, George, tell me many times, you know, Gerard, if you have the passion in your heart, you will remember that the wine industry is 1001 detail. And you cannot miss one and not two. You have to be to respect all the steps in order to create the harmony in the bottle.
And did he say to you that you would get, I mean, this is the remarkable thing about making wine, is that you'll get 40 or 50 opportunities to make your wine, because of course you can only do it once a year. I remember you telling me that he said that to you.
Yeah. You have a good memory. And when I was 10 years old at the end, in 1975, at the end of the harvest, he said to me, I was 10. He said to me, I was a kid, and he said, you are lucky, Gerard, because when you will be 50, you will have 40 years of experience. And I look at him like that. I couldn't even imagine what will happen when I was 50. And now I'm 57. I have done already 47 vintages. I mean, it's a journey.
Yeah, but it's incredible that when you think how many other jobs in the world would you only get the opportunity to do, you know, 40 times or 47 times in a sense. And I know it's not just about the harvest, but that's the pinnacle moment of the year, really. And you get to do it once a year. It's incredible, really.
This is like a final, you know. You remember only the winners. That means when you are in the field, you have to be ready.
Exactly. Talking of winners, why don't you show us the bottle that you've made for the French rugby team?
Yeah, I don't know if I can, but I will.
You know, go on.
We have done a cuvée for celebrating 12-year old attend, because we have done the cuvée of the Grand Slam for the French team, because they are all my friends. And of course, this is not a cuvée for selling wines, but just to pay a tribute.
Yeah, that's
to
nice.
The team and the staff. And we have chosen Château L'Hospitalet Grand Vin 2019 because this is a wine they can drink, but more importantly, they will be happy to keep in the cellar for the next 30 years.
Exactly. Allez le bleu. Anyway, well done again at the weekend. So let's move on to the Côte de Roses.
Yes. Cheers.
So obviously everyone's got this at home. This is, you know, there's lots of things that are unique about this wine. First of all, there's the name, which is very interesting. Then you've got the unique bottle with the glass top, and then you've got the design at the bottom. So why don't you start with the name, talk us through the bottle design, and then we'll talk about the wine. And the best questions, as I say, during the orange gold and the rosé, there's a bottle of rosé and a bottle of orange gold for the best question during the first two wines.
Yes. You know, the most important thing always happens with a meeting. And I met a young lady, Mrs. Courvoisier, Clémentine Courvoisier. She was 19 years old, and she designed this bottle. And it was so exciting to see this bottle. And I say to her, okay, let's make an agreement because I want to use this bottle. And my idea came out with the name, because the name Côte des Roses is also the name of the coast and the Mediterranean between Narbonne and Gruissant. I mean, this is really the name. And we have beautiful roses. And then, of course, and the success was not there because the marketing concept was not really defined. And when we use a glass cork, you have the glass cork, you have the roses there, you have the bottom with the flower, and the name. It was very easy for people to remember that Côte des Roses, it's a wine Now we have a bunch of roses because we have also 2 whites and a red, Chardonnay, Sauvignon, and Viognier, and Pinot, because we promote the south of France destination. We promote the bunch of roses, and we celebrate love. That's why we do a marketing campaign also to celebrate love, because at the end of the day, this wine, and especially the rosé you are drinking tonight, it's a great opportunity for starting the lunch or the dinner, to celebrate friendship with people, and also to remember the spirit of the south of France. And this is very important for us. And concerning the wine line, of course, this is a blend of Grenache, Cinsault, and Syrah. This is the best grape for making and producing a premium rosé, and 3 to 5% every year has been aged in oak, in order also to reinforce the length.
And the Côte de Roses, that is actually the name of the area down at the beach, is it, where they grow the grapes?
Yes, yes,
okay.
Definitely. And this is, you know, the Côte de Roses is close to Narbonne Beach.
Okay.
And Narbonne Beach was very important in the past, because people have to remember that we start to produce wine in the south of France 24th century ago, because the Greek people arrived in Narbonne Beach, and they came with amphoras, but they came also with a plant. And they came with indigenous grape. And one of these is still there, called the claret. And the claret, you know, is the same genome for 24 centuries. That means we have a very long tradition of winemaking and wine growing in the south of France. And Narbonne Beach was one of the first places where the plants arrive in the south.
And it's quite sandy soils down there.
You know, we have everything, because, you know, Narbonne is close to La Clappe area. And we have also a lot of limestone.
Okay.
And we have some clay. You know, the sand is just near to the coast and near the beach. But when you start to climb the mountain, you are more with the limestone.
Okay. And this is nice because it's perfect to fill as a decanter. You know, that's the nice thing about it. You can keep the bottle. It's nice to just, you know, take the lid off, pop it back on, and fill it with water for the garden for the summer or something.
The concept is pop the top.
Yeah.
You know, pop the top with 2 fingers.
Yeah.
You can do like that. It's very easy. And also, we have to remember that some people doesn't have any screw cap, a corkscrew at home.
Yeah.
That means when you don't have corkscrew, you know, when you open the bottle, it's good. And of course, it's a sustainable bottle, because nobody puts this bottle in the garbage. They keep it for using for water, for olive oil, and so on. Yeah. I mean, it's. I recommend to collect these bottles.
Lots of them. Yes. Collect lots of them.
Exactly.
And Gérard, we have a question. How do you get the pale rosé color of the Côte de Roses? And it is a very beautiful pale color, isn't it?
I have some keep secrets.
Okay.
No, I'm joking, but this is a question of quality of the grapes, number one. I mean, when you use this blend has been driven by Grenache first. And when you use more Grenache, you have pale color. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, as we pick up the grape, a lot of grape by hand, we put the grapes in the fridge for 24 hours, and then we press the juice. That means we don't let, you know, the grapes in the vineyard for 3-4 hours, because when you do that, you develop the color. And what do we want to do is to keep the freshness. That's why we like to have this pale color. It's not too pale, but it's beautiful color, yes.
It is a beautiful color. And why don't you just give us your tasting note on the aromas and the flavors of this wine, Gérard, from your point of view?
My point of view is that, you know, Lynne, I spend with my team a lot of time making the blend. I mean, we are expert of blending, and we try to capture the perfect balance between the grape varieties. I mean, even if the the blend has been driven by Grenache, number one, close to 60-65%. Then the Grenache give the complexity, the texture, and the taste. The Senso develop the verticality and as well as a character, and the Syrah provides the fruit and the intensity of the aromas. That's why it's always amusing to do a blend.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically each bringing its own personality to the wine. Jeff is asking, is it true that Old World Rosé is usually more dry than New World Rosé?
Can you say again?
Yes, one of the questions from Jeff actually, is it true that Old World Rosé is usually more dry than New World Rosé?
Yeah. Yes. You know, the quality also of because it's a paradox, because very often in the world, people, they like more or less some sweet wines, but for rosé, they do prefer dry wines. Because with the Grenache, you feel a kind of a sweet taste, even if the wine is dry. That's why, you know, it's remarkable, because in the south of France, this is really the country for Grenache. And remember also that we have three kinds of Grenache. We have Grenache Noir, Grenache Gris, and Grenache Blanc. And we can use three of them to reinforce also the complexity. Yes, and the last thing is that rosé with residual sugar, like they say in the US, like the white Zinfandel, this is a past, because people for rosé, they want a crispy taste, and they want to enjoy the rosé in many occasions, also for happy hours around at the pool. And we have also some gastronomic rosé, like like Clos du Temple and so on, dedicated for a food experience. But the good thing with Côte des Roses is that you can drink this wine all day.
And tell me, for you, what would you serve food-wise with the Côte de Rose?
Côte des Roses, yes.
Yes, what would you serve? Would you, gastronomically, what would you do with the Côte de Rose?
I think with the Côte de Roses, I like very much a seafood platter, because you still have some freshness, and I like also more or less the
Shrimps.
The shrimps.
Shrimps,
yes.
Okay.
Shrimps
Thank you, Emmanuel, in the background there.
Yes, the shrimps, yes.
Okay, so shrimps.
And salad as well, because it's very good with salad during the spring. Avocado also. Avocado with spring is perfect.
Okay.
But it depends about the moment and the season. Myself, I drink rosé all year long. That means it depends my feeling as well.
Me too. I drink it all year. It's not just for summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Celeste is asking if you already know at harvest time that it's going to be a good vintage. So by the time the harvest comes, do you know that it's going to be a good year or a medium year? Or
at the end, the true story is that until you don't pick the grapes, you don't know. Because what do you know at the beginning of the harvest is a potential. The thing is that if the potential is great, it doesn't matter if you have one rain or two rainy days during the harvest. But if the potential is medium, you can move up to a great potential if you are lucky with the weather condition. I mean, we know that we can face one or two rainy days without damage. Above that is critical. I mean, when it becomes critical, this is when human being and expert makes a difference, because we never give up. I mean, when we start to see some problem like moisture and sun, this is really time to go deeper into the detail and to try to make trier, to say
To sort.
all the grapes,
Okay.
in order to grape by grape to make a selection and just to keep the best grapes. And that's why, sometimes, it's like when you say, okay, for example, 2012 was not a good vintage. That's true in general. But in particular, some producers deliver great wines because we go deep into the detail, as well as because we are the leader in the world for organic and biodynamic principle. We have a better life into the soil, the subsoil. I mean, we have a better balance into the vineyard.
On the sorting, and I'm going to ask you about the biodynamic and organic in a minute, Gérard, but on the sorting, is everything done by hand or do you have any optical sorters?
We have a mix, of course. For the biodynamic principle, all the preparations that we spray into the vineyard, this is a long process, has been done by hand and controlled by people. We have 122 people dedicated for this program. But at the end, and then we have tractors in the vineyard, and we have also some mule and horses in some iconic places in order to connect all the different elements. That's why, I have a funny story, because you have to know, guys, that this is my first book, and I didn't know how to translate my French title called La Vin à la Belle Étoile. And I say to Lynne, Coyle, you have to help me to find the title in English. And we spend a day and a night drinking wines, having a great dinner with Kevin as well. And I say, you are not going to leave the place until you help me to find the title. And this is Wine, Moon and Star. That means she was in charge to find the title, and she did great, because it was a really successful book.
And if I can explain, because Gérard, the Wine, Moon and Stars is a direct reference, obviously, to the biodynamic and organic farming, but specifically biodynamic. But the other thing is, Gérard, if you remember that you are so demanding of the standards in the estates and in the vineyards and in the wines, that when you ask someone for the sun, moon and stars, it means that you're asking for everything. So I thought it was a kind of play on words as well. Anyway, I remember you told me I couldn't leave until we found the title.
Yes,
let's talk about the orange wine now. So this is a reasonably new wine for you. In the last 2 years, you've launched this wine.
This is the
Orange
first
gold.
vintage wine. This is the first vintage, 2020.
Oh, it's the first vintage. Okay, gosh, right. We were on it quickly then.
Yeah, you are always on top of the innovation as well as O'Brien's, and this is great. Yeah,
Okay.
First of all, Lynne, you are a master of wines. I mean, you know all the detail about the history of orange wine in the world, and of course, as you know, guys, maybe you don't know, but this is everything starts in Georgia, not in Atlanta, but in Georgia, in the east part of Europe, and nobody knows, but it's between 5,000 to 8,000 euros of when they start to produce and to put some white grapes into vats in order to make basic wines. But the color of orange has been done by the skin contact. And I have tasted with my team more than 80 wines coming from all over the world 2 years ago, because I love the idea for creating a new color in the wine industry, as well as to create a new food and wine pairing. You see the color is
fabulous.
Is yes. And the idea was to taste all the wine, and I was not really impressed. We have tasted more than 80, and only 10 of them retain our attention. And I say to my team, let's do great wine, orange wine, and we move from too much tannin to structure, and from hard bitterness to a light bitterness. That's why we have chosen local and international grape varieties. And number two, we reduce the winemaking process from 2 months to 4 weeks in order to have only to capture all the color coming from the skin and not the tannin coming from the pips. And it was a challenge, but we are very happy because this is really an opportunity for you guys to discover a new taste. Of course, this wine is organic as well. And we have also a beautiful bottle, beautiful design of the bottle, as you can see, and you have had at home. But myself, Lynne, I don't know what do you think about the wine, but the taste is really amusing.
I like it a lot. I love the color and I love the aromas. I think that for me, it's a perfect food wine. And it is unusual. So there's a very grapey freshness to the aromas, but then you've got a slightly nutty, quite complex character. And I love it. I think it's delicious. And there's some interesting grape varieties in there, which are things like Marsanne, which add to the complexity and richness of the wine. But then the fact that it finishes deliciously dry as well, I think is good.
Yeah, you know, we have a blend between local and international grape, as I said, with Chardonnay, with Chenin, with Grenache, Viognier, Vermentino, Muscat, and this is really a good food and wine pairing with cheese. Because when you have guys a cheese platter, nobody knows what to drink, because with goat cheese you need white. With Camembert or Comté, you need a red. With Roquefort or Stilton, it's better to have a fortified wine. But if you don't know what to drink, you choose orange wine, and it covers all the spectrum of the cheese. That's why, you know, it's a great opportunity as well.
And you've also, Mosaic is in there as well, but having the Muscat and the Viognier, those aromatic and semi-aromatic grape varieties, you can feel that. You can feel the floral character on the nose and on the palate. I think it's you could probably sit this wine for an hour. It's an interesting exercise to sit down just now and to write what you can smell and taste, and then leave it for an hour in the glass and do the same exercise. And I think that this wine evolves a lot in the glass. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, you know, but you know, like the most important difference between us and your guests tonight is the guests they are eating. That means in 1 hour the bottle will be empty. That's why, you know, guys. That's why I spit in my spit room, because I didn't have food in my office now.
All right.
But I will take the bottle in my home tonight in order to do the same as you.
Okay. And these bottles will go into the office tomorrow, so that the team in the office can try them. Which is nice as well, that we all get the chance to try. Okay, so we have a question here about controlling botrytis if it's a wet harvest, from Michael. So do you get many wet harvests? And if you do, how do you control botrytis?
If I do green harvest, you say?
No, it's a question is, how do you control botrytis if it's a wet harvest? Oidium and oidium and.
How do we control? You know, the most important thing to control is to go very often in the plots. Of course, we do also some chemical analysis in order to control the must and the alcoholic degree potential, the pH, the acidity, and we have also some KPIs like you know, the level of moisture, if they have moisture or not. I mean, now you know, we use also the best of the science in order to give us many information about also the level of nitrogen, you know, the level of different things. This is important for my team. But myself, as I am not an oenologist, I have more or less an empiric vision about the winemaking and the wine growing process. I mean, we use the best of the two worlds. My experience in the vineyard and the best of the technique coming from the new generation of enologists. And that's why, we spend a lot of time together to discuss, and then we take the final decision together. But when this is a money time, like in a rugby field or a football game, it's important to feel more than to think. You have to be connected with the plot and to go there in order to say, okay, it's time to make it, to harvest it, or it's not. And then when the grapes arrive into the cellar, of course, we taste every day or 2 times a day the juices. And because we receive information from the vineyard, we can also taste it in order to make a link and just to know if we have to make 8 days, 10 days, 15 days of maturation. And it's never the same. I mean, sometime like in 2021, we have done a vinification, a winemaking for between 8 days to 10 days maximum. It depends, it depends also of the level of maturity of the pips. Depend also about the skin, and this, every year you become a better winemaker every year, because the experience is the key. Experience, the passion, and the capability also to make a reset every year.
Okay, thank you. A question from Donald. He's saying, over your 47 years, you must have experienced climate change. What has changed and how have you adapted to climate change?
That's a very good question. In the wine industry, my father taught me, number one, humility. Number two, to spend time in the vineyard in order to feel what's happened. But number three, over the year, we have seen the evolution. And what do we think? We have 1,500 grape variety in the world, and people knows less than 10. But the secret is that only all vines, give you an answer, because when the vines are old in a vineyard is because 2 things. Number one, because we have chosen the good grape variety. And number two, because the grape variety has been adapted to the quality of the terroir. And what's happened now is that we see more and more that indigenous grape and local grapes are aged because they have a potential to resist against the climate change. And number two is to see that now the alcoholic degrees is not the same than 30 years ago. Myself, at Villemajou, until 1990, the alcoholic degrees was 12.3, 12.5. Mouton Rothschild 82 was only 11.5. I mean, now we have 2 more degrees, but this is not a shame, because what I can say is that we have to take care about the alcoholic degrees, but the quality of the wine are much better now than 30 years ago. The thing is that we are looking for maturity. The second thing also is that we have reduced the yield in order to develop the complexity and the concentration. But now, with what's happened in the world, it's a game changer. That means it is not possible anymore with a long-term perspective to plant a grape variety which is not a good variety for the terroir. I mean, you have to make a chemical analysis of your terroir. You have to measure the dryness during the summertime in order to know what to plant. And then, of course, we play also with the density of the plantation. That means the number of vines per hectare. And then we control also the health of the vineyard. That's why we start to move from conventional agriculture to biodynamic agriculture 20 years ago, because what we learned from that is that the organic matter is the most important thing to have living soil. And living soil is a key for balance and for guarantee the quality as well as a long life for the vineyard.
Just let me move it. The Côte de Roses is a celebration of love. The Beatles always claimed all you need is love. So drink plenty of the Côte de Roses, which is a good,
Thank you.
A good observation. It's interesting. So that's, I mean, it's 20 years ago that you started the organic and biodynamic journey. As I mentioned at the beginning, your drinks business Green Personality of the Year. But it's not every vineyard can be organic or biodynamic. And I know that you have vineyards that you're working with sustainably or that are bee-friendly vineyards, and also you've got some of your vineyards that are in the process of in conversion to organic or biodynamic. It's a long journey, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it takes 3 to 4 years in order to move from conventional agriculture to organic or biodynamic agriculture. My passion is really to promote organic and biodynamic farming, but we are unique as business model because only our company produce organic, bee-friendly, no added sulfite wines, vegan, and bee-friendly and biodynamics. That means we experiment all the different process in order to keep and to reinforce the biodiversity in our ecosystem. This is all above the business. This is a commitment from myself that all the members of the company share, because this is a challenge for us. We want to let a better planet for the next generation to come. And this is really important for us to teach also the other wine growers in order to help them to understand that the viticulture must be an example for agriculture, because people, they don't need to drink wine to stay alive. They have to eat every day. I mean, we can make some compromise because we need to have enough cereal, enough food for everybody. But for wine, this is really another game, because people now, they have more and more expertise and they like the cultural products, and they like to enjoy a taste, they like to enjoy the terroir effect in the bottle. And that's why we say that the wine must have, you know, the taste of somewhere and not only the taste of something. And this is why we want to promote the quality of the terroir from the region.
In terms of, you must, I think we were discussing in the beginning that you're certainly one of the biggest biodynamic organic producers in Europe and certainly in the world now, because you know many of your estates are farming in that way. But it's an expensive exercise, and what's typically the kind of number that's typically quoted is that to convert from conventional viticulture to organic is usually between 30 and 40% increase in the costs. Are you happy that you made that decision and that you started that journey? Because I know that you believe, and I see it in the wines, that there has been an improvement in the wine quality, even though it has cost more money. There's been a change in the wines, hasn't there, over the years? We'll taste the Corbières, the Villemajou, when we're talking about this.
Yes. It's really the benchmark of my wines, because you know this is the first one. And this is still the traditional label created by my father, Georges, and I don't want to change it because it's iconic. This label has more than 50 years, and we keep the same in order to pay a tribute to Georges and as well as to guarantee the same experience. Cheers.
Cheers. So are you happy you made the transition, Gérard, that you've gone down this route, the organic and biodynamic route?
Yeah, you know, I drink it because it's so good. Yes. First of all, I want to say, Lynne, that this wine is like my blood because it's a family spirit. It's so distinctive wine. And when people say in France, when Villemajou is good, everything is good at Gérard Bertrand. Yes. And because I pay a lot of attention also to celebrate and to respect the memory of my father and my sister. Yes, it was. My father was not involved in that because remember the guys that in the 60s, all the wine were organic because people didn't use any chemical product and they use only sulfur and copper and that's it. And then start to arrive, in the late 70s, chemical products because people are asking for guarantee more the yields and and harvest. And we start to move to everything chemical in the world. And myself, I use homeopathic pills for close to 40 years, and I have seen the changes in my body and my energy. And when I have read the book of Rudolf Steiner in 2002, it was a great opportunity because it resonated into me, because he explained the link between the strength from the strength of the cosmos and the link between the external planet to the sun with the silicate in the soil and the internal planet with the limestone. When you read that for the first time, you say, oh, this guy fly high. It's complicated to understand. And we start to experiment. And we start with 2 hectares. And then after 2 years, we have seen the changes in the vineyard and into the cellar. And then, of course, we move from 2 hectares to 20 to 40 and now to 900. But for example, at Sigalus, the level of acidity of the white moved from 3.9 to 5.5. That means we increase the level of acidities and more than 50%. Because what do? We start to use only ingredients coming from the natural ingredients. We stop to use any chemical products, and we stop also to use potassium, because potassium, it's a fertilizer, but it's a chemical fertilizer, and the problem with the potassium is that you deliver more and more salt, yes, into the soil. And that's why you reduce the level of acidity, and and you also you change the balance into the vineyard. That's why we stop also to use potassium, and that's why the quality of the wine become better and better, because the balance.
The energy kind of changed within the wines themselves, didn't it, really?
Yeah, you feel the energy. That's a good thing, Lynne, because this is not a thing, guys, that we can explain. This is just a kind of feeling. You feel the energy, you feel also the taste and the aftertaste. And one thing you cannot control when you drink wine is when you salivate. Because when the saliva is in your mouth, this is a guarantee of the balance. And when you need another glass, this is good for you and this is good for us as well.
I've got before we talk about the Domaine Villemajou again, Paul is asking, after making this orange wine, have you thought about creating a dessert wine?
Yeah, we do ourselves. We have a legendary collection of fortified wine. In the south of France, we were the first in the world to produce fortified wine at the 13th century with a chemist called Arnaud de Villeneuve, and he was the first to make mutage, that means to stop the alcoholic fermentation and to make a fortified wine, and we love it. But as I am too old now, I do not produce it. I buy it and I try to find all vintages and to collect it, and just to sell 50% of this stock in my life, because this is like treasure, and we like to to sell some vintages now, like 69, 55, and so on. But we have also a collection until 1875. And this is really the DNA of the south of France.
We actually sell your Mori and your Banyuls and O'Brien's. So if you want to try, and they are fantastic wines.
Yeah,
so,
it's a great invitation because for me, Lynne, this is wine for meditation.
Yeah.
When you start to drink this wine, time is not anymore a problem because you are in another world and you feel great. You feel happiness in your, it's wine for meditation. This is for you. And this is a great opportunity, yes.
The orange wine was very nice, reminded me of a plum wine, and it made me wonder if you have made any non-grape based wines. That's from Lorraine. Do you make any wines that are not from grapes, Gerard?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, then John is asking, love at first sight, does anyone agree? Love at first sight is a very personal experience, and I often buy a wine on its appearance of the label, and the Côte de Rose's taste does not disappoint. So a fan there of the Côte de Rose is good. So Gerard, talk to us. Would you describe? I mean, you told us that this is this wine is like your blood. This is the blood of your business. Tell us, would you describe this the Domaine de Villemajou for us? Describe the flavors and aromas.
I think, Lynne, this is the best value for money that you can find at O'Brien's.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
It's a lot of wine for the price. A lot of wine.
Exactly. And what we can say is that the nose is very complex and distinctive because the complexity comes from the very old Carignan, 100 euros Carignan, blend with Grenache, Syrah, and a touch of Mourvèdre. And you can smell also some garrigue aromas, some red fruits and black fruits. And but the most important thing will happen when you put the wine in the mouth. Because you feel in your tongue the energy as well as the taste of the iron. This is amusing because we have stones, and the stone has the same as Châteauneuf-du-Pape. This is pudding stones, and it's silex, and silex is phosphor, yes, and you can feel the same taste in your mouth, and with the aftertaste, you have a lot of salive coming into your mouth, which is good because that means the caudali are very important. It's very deep, it's really intense, and this is a great opportunity. And you feel, as you said, the level of energy is very high in this wine because of the biodynamic process, but more importantly, because of the quality of the terroir and the combination between all vines and great terroir.
I mean, you can taste the sun, you can taste the stones. As you say, you've got the garrigue, the wild thyme, the rosemary. It's a very special glass of wine.
Yeah, and this is a wine you will remember because the taste is unique.
It is unique, definitely. Gerard, so you obviously 47 vintages, 20 years of organic and biodynamic farming, as well as your sustainable farming, as well as your bee friendly, etc., etc. But so you've decided to put all of your experience, your thoughts, you've shared it in a new book, haven't you?
Yeah, that's why, I have written books as well as I do a lot of master classes like tonight. And, I do real and virtual master classes, but yesterday I was in London for making a master class, and I will be in the US mid-April in order to promote, our passion for the region, as well as our commitment for the biodiversity and for the excellence of quality of the wines. And also, Lynne, one important thing also now is to, I know that you like to do it, is to make food and wine pairings, because people, very often, they don't know what to drink with wine, with what. And we like also to experiment, of course, with traditional dishes in the world, as well as now to try to find a good food pairing with vegetables. Because, of course, more and more people, they eat vegetables now, and some of them are vegan or vegetarian. And it's also interesting to try to find a good pairing with vegetables, because this is interesting, and it doesn't make sense for the planet to eat beef 2 times a day. And it's also important to find some occasion to enjoy a glass of wine with something else.
No, I think that's fair. I think one thing, definitely, as you say, from a sustainability point of view, vegetables are definitely on the agenda now for lots of people, but also they're delicious. And I can imagine, fantastic, you've suggested Mediterranean vegetables with the Villemejeu, but I can imagine also with the orange gold and the Côte de Roses that you could have salads, delicious vegetable dishes. It would be nice. So do you want to show us your book, Gérard, and explain to us what you've talked about in your new book? And hopefully we'll get some over to Ireland at some stage. Yeah,
this is my new book called Nature at Heart. This is not an autobiography like the first one. This is about my experience about life and about the nature, and I provide some solution based on sensitivity and a kind of spirituality also, in order to live all together. And this is really what's happened now in the north of Europe. We don't understand sometimes why, because we have everything to be happy, and I think we have to create all together a new paradigm. And I think our connection with the soul, with the biodiversity, and with the respect of the nature helps, because people sometimes have forgotten that the nature gives us the possibility with the oxygen that we breathe and with the food and and vegetables that we eat to stay alive, and everything comes because of the sun. That's a biodynamic process. That means the strength, the vital strength coming from the sun. Without the sun, nothing will grow on Earth. That's why people don't realize, but the connection between the Earth and the planets and the moon and the sun give us the possibility to be there and to have everything on the planet. That's why we want to pay a tribute for Mother Nature, because this is very important for people now to understand that we have only one planet. We don't have any plan B. And it's really time, with the global warming and with what's happening in the world, to try to change some detail in our life, not too much. We have to continue to be happy and to celebrate and to enjoy, but with conscientiousness. That's why I have written this book, and this book is available, everywhere. But it's important for me to pay a tribute for Mother Nature, because this is really my commitment.
It's interesting for you to share that with us. Thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing the book at some stage over here. And let's taste Sigillus now, which is, you've just mentioned biodynamic and the connection between the sun, the moon, stars, the earth, the tides. So it might be interesting for you to explain to us how you see biodynamic viticulture with the Sigillus.
Yes, Sigillus is a good example because Sigillus, this is a place where I live with my family, with my wife and my kids. There are not any more kids; they are adults now. But it was a family spirit, as well as it was the first estate we turned to the biodynamic principle in 2002, and this is where we have experimented all the process. But it was also an occasion because this wine is a blend between local and international grapes, with Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Syrah, Grenache, Carignan, and Caladoc. And we have seen the changes, dramatic changes, not dramatic, but incredible, changes for the best over the last 20 years. Because when I bought this estate, it was really an estate where people use a lot of potassium, a lot of chemical products. And it took me 3 years, to start to have a good berries and to have a maturity and so on. And then it was like a revelation because this wine was a winner. We have been elected as the best red and white wine for airlines company with the vintage 2005.
Okay.
And it was a game changer because we start to sell Cigalus everywhere in the world. And of course, now it's really unusual because matching and blending local and international grapes make also a difference. And as no one of the grapes have more than 20% in the blend, this is really difficult to say, like we can say with Villemajou driven by Carignan. You cannot, even when you are expert, say, does this grape pop up? That means this is really complex. And this is a wine also, you can drink it now because of the quality of the tannin, but you can keep also in your cellar for the next 20 to 30 years. But I like the complexity of the wine.
So how would you describe the flavors in the wine?
What I like with this wine is a spicy character, and it's complex because we have some red fruits.
Touch of smoke on the nose as well.
Yeah, we have some light smoky taste coming from the Syrah in oak. We have also white and black pepper, and we have also the taste of the south of France. That means the garrigue.
The garrigue, you've got the thyme and the rosemary again.
Exactly.
And you also have like blackberry, the bramble, sort of black fruit note.
Yes, we start to have some blackberries and some black currant as well.
Maybe a touch of black olive as well.
Exactly, tapenade, more importantly.
Tapenade, exactly.
Yeah.
We're hungry thinking about this now.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Connor said, if you have grapes that can't be used for making wine, do you compost them or do you do something else with them?
No, if I compost them, yes. With the dry goods, yes, we do some compost.
Okay.
But with a biodynamic process, we go above that. That means we use different ingredients like chamomile, like achille, like nettles, like oak. We use also some corn, and we use also some silicium, depending the season. I mean, it's really complex, but as we don't use any more potassium in the soil, we only use natural products. And we do compost. Yes, we do compost for 6 months. I mean, we start the compost now until we start the compost in November until now, and then now we start to put the compost in all the plots. Yes.
Thank you for that. I think the question was, if you don't use if say it's a year where you don't use some of the grapes, if they've maybe had botrytis or underripe grapes or whatever, do you do anything with them? I think you just leave them on the vine, don't you, for the birds?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Okay. If Gérard were to open a vineyard in another country, where would you choose, Gérard? Jeff is asking that question.
Yeah, that's a good question because we were very close. I have a passion for Greece, and
nice.
I go every summer with my family in Greece.
Can I vote for Santorini, please?
Yeah,
I'll have
but
to come and look at your Santorini vineyards.
yes, I like all the island, but also the continent. I love to go in Thessaloniki, and I will be happy to find a place where I will be able to grow Assyrtiko, because I have a dream is to make the best Assyrtiko on earth. Because
That
I
seems
think,
like a dream.
yeah, because I think even if the quality are already exciting, I think we can go a little bit further. But for that, I need to find a place with a volcanic soil, with all the Assyrtiko, but also a place without any more problem of dryness. Because now with the global warming, it's challenging. And I didn't find yet, because the vineyard in Greece is very fragmented. And it's a dream for me. I was very close to do something in Thessaloniki. I didn't make it because the quality of the soil was too sandy for me.
Okay.
And when I open the bottle, what I do, I drink the same wine. I let the bottle open and I drink a glass for a week, 1 glass per day.
Okay.
And after 3 days, the wine changed. It was dead.
Okay.
And I say, no, this is not where I can create it.
No.
One of the best Assyrtiko. That's why, this is a dream for me. Otherwise, we continue to explore what's happened in the south of France. We can also go further in the west part, maybe some places like Cahors or some places like that. But, the challenge is always to fall in love with a place. Myself, when I visit an estate, after 10 minutes, I know. If I am connected with the beauty of the place and with the soil and the subsoil, I say, okay, this is where we are going to invest. If it doesn't come to me, I don't make it. I mean, it's not a problem of business, it's just a problem and a matter of falling in love with a place.
That's fair. We have a really good Assyrtiko from Santorini, wild ferment from Gaia. If anybody wants to try that.
I will try, yes.
Yeah, it's really good. Question then, in the past, was the potassium used to create salt so that more water would be absorbed in order to keep the grapes moist? I think the question is, what was potassium used for in the vineyard historically, Gérard?
What kind of?
Potassium. Why was it added? It's a fertilizer.
No, potassium is a fertilizer.
Yeah.
I mean, potassium. And it's brut. It's a natural product, but it gives it develops the salinity into the soil and the subsoil. I mean, it develops the salty character of the soil. That means what's happened when you develop the salt in the soil, the plant require more water, and that means you have to have more water. Otherwise, the plant is going to pass away. To pass away. That means this is a problem because the pH is a key in the soil, and when you have too much salty soil, you are dead. You cannot continue to produce wine, and that's why the potassium is an enemy for the quality of the wine and the quality of the soil.
A question. Thank you, Gérard. A question from Michael. Do you use oak for most of your wines?
Yes, because you see, you take the wine tonight, and you see that you cannot find the oaky taste first. What the reason, the way we use oak is to use the oak, but we have a lot of control, and we put water into the oak for a week in order to remove the green taste coming from the wood. And then also we don't use only new oak. We use a blend between new oak and 12 months age oak and so on. And then also we always keep 15 to 20%, depending the vintage, of the vintage into the vats in order to keep the
into
fruit
stainless. In
yes,
stainless steel.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
But we like the oak because the oak develop the complexity in the wine and also the quality of the tannin.
Thank you. A question from Michael about Caladoc. Can you talk a bit about that grape?
Yeah, Caladoc is a métis. He has been created 40 years ago by the people here in Narbonne, and it's a métis between Grenache and Malbec. That means the grape has the quality and the deepness of the Grenache and the violet profile, the flower profile in the nose of the Malbec. It's a very interesting grape variety.
And indigenous for that, for your part of the world, obviously.
Yes.
Then Jeff is offering to scout for locations in Greece for you if you need anyone to go over and look for vineyards.
Send me a message.
Okay, Gerard, it's been really, really interesting talking to you. We talked earlier about how you took it from 4 people now employing hundreds of people in the south of France, and you're hugely passionate about music, about art. You have a jazz festival every year. You see it as your responsibility to also promote the culture of the area. That's been a huge part of what you've tried to do down there, isn't it?
Yes. You know, we love to make the link between the wine, the gastronomy, the culture of the region, and we have 5,000 years of history and art. That's why we have a art gallery as well. We like to play to have a jazz festival. This year will be the 19th edition, and you know we like to enjoy life as well, and we like to dance on the table as well, and to enjoy life. Mm-hmm. And to have a glass of wine with good food, great people, and to celebrate. That's why, you know, we like to celebrate the friendship of the south of France.
And what's next for the business? What's next for you? I know that you've still got ambitions and lots of things that you want to do. So
yes, you know. First of all, we were happy to continue and to keep the business stable despite of the 2 crazy years that we had the COVID and so on. I think now it's behind us, but we want to continue to reinforce, you know, our commitment for organic and biodynamics. That means we have the commitment to move from 50% to 80% over the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we continue to go deep into the detail, and we create orange wine. We have also an iconic cuvée called Villa Soleilla in La Clappe for orange wine as well. And we launch also a new single vineyard called Plantabelle, 100% Grenache, very, very old Grenache. And I will be fortunate as well because beginning of April, I will receive, as I received with Château L'Hospitalet as the best red wine in the world, vintage 2017, I will receive from the Imperatrice of Japan the best red wine in the world again for the single vineyard called Hospitalitas, vintage 2019. That means,
congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great achievement for all of us, for the team and myself, and also for the promotion of the south of France.
And in terms of your organic and biodynamic journey, I know that as you mentioned, 50% of the estates are currently certified. What are the challenges? Because it's on an estate by estate basis, isn't it? That you have to pick an estate and do the work, and each estate has its own challenges. So what are the hurdles to get there?
No, now is easy for us because we have the experience. We have a great team. We have people dedicated. I mean, in the next 2 years, 100% of all the estate will be certified Demeter.
When, sorry?
In 2 years.
In 2 years, okay.
Yes, I mean, it's an ongoing process, but now, you know, everything is on the way, and we are very happy because people see the changes in the vineyard, into the cellar. And of course, that's why also with the global warming, we are more resistant, because when you reinforce the level of acidity of the wine, and when you have a better balance into the soil and the subsoil, you guarantee the quality and the sustainability of the harvest. I mean, this is the best way to fight against the global warming.
More balance in the plant, living soil, and it just makes the plant stronger for what it's got to withstand in the
Exactly
from nature.
Exactly.
Okay. With a comment here, so love the Côte de Roses and the beautiful bottle. Will most certainly use the bottle this summer. Such a lovely evening and a great way to celebrate my husband's birthday. That sounds like it's been a nice evening.
Happy birthday.
Exactly. Gérard, thank you so much. You've been very good to give your time, and thank you for being so. And
I am with my dear friend Emmanuel. And
Emmanuel, hello, Emmanuel.
With us this beautiful tasting. Thank you, Lynne, for inviting us. Thank you for all the O'Brien's team. My regards to Kevin O'Brien as well. And as you know, in Ireland, we have the same DNA with French and Highland people. We like to enjoy life. We like also to be real, and we have also, after the game between France and Ireland, we like to celebrate all together. And we cannot wait to host you in a different estate in the south of France. And if you want to come, you go through O'Brien's, and we make a special promotion for all of you.
And talking of promotion, all of the 4 wines that we've tried this evening will be on our French wine sale, which is starting in the 4th of April. So if you liked any of the wines tonight, you can get them on special offer from the 4th of April in the shops. And Gérard, thank you so much. Emmanuel, thank you for setting up the tasting. Thank you to the O'Brien's team behind the scenes, Lorcan and Fiona. And thank you everyone for joining us. And lovely to talk to you, Gérard. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, and bye-bye.
Okay.
And enjoy the end of the week. And see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
See you in the south of France, hopefully.
Yes, thank you.
Right. Good night.